Hey, welcome to Small Towns Unscripted. This is Russ McClellan. In this episode, Nicole is on vacation. We let her go once in a while. It's a little different this time. We have Rich Uhlhorn coming back, and we're going to talk about the Rec Association and all the good work that Rich does for this community. And then this is going to kind of blend into an episode with Rich and John, kind of merging those. So it's going to be a little different format. John Walcker, that is, but I think you'll like it. I hope you keep watching the podcast. Hope you enjoy it, and if you don't mind sharing it on social media or telling your friends, and if you know anybody who'd like to be on the podcast, give me a call. I'd love to hear about who we should have on next. Richard Uhlhorn, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well.
Welcome back to Small Towns Unscripted. So here's what we're going to do. The reason I asked you to come back, and I really appreciate you coming back, is we're going to merge this episode with the episode we did with John Walcker and you, and that's going to air here pretty soon. But we didn't get, like you had said, you get a couple real estate guys together. Next thing you know, you're talking real estate. And what I really wanted to focus on is you and the Recreation Association and all of the amazing things that have been on kind of a historical perspective of this valley and kind of get into why. I know we did it in the other episode, but it's okay if we do it twice too. So I thought if you could just kind of help share your story and your involvement, and then why and how and all the things that were created and why they were created, and maybe hopefully somebody will pick that baton up and we'll get a lot of volunteers to start this thing up again, and because it's pretty amazing. So anyway, appreciate you coming.
That's the big thing is volunteerism, and that's one of the hardest things in the world to do is get volunteers together to do something. The Lake Chelan Recreation Association started out as a Lake Chelan Winter Recreation Association with Mary Pat Schofield and Chris Emil, who lived up there on Bear Mountain, and they wanted to promote their commercial cross-country ski area and also ski the Sunnyside, which was an effort to try to get people to come over to eastern Washington, not just necessarily Chelan, but also Leavenworth, Wenatchee, and Winthrop. And those particular towns weren't too interested in that, but it evolved into 1989 when the Winter Games came here. I don't know whether you remember the Winter Games, but they had cross-country skiing, they had ping pong and boxing at the community center. It was pretty amazing. But then it became a kind of an organization that thought, gee, we don't have anybody here in the fall, and we don't have anybody here through the winter and or spring, so what can we do? And at that point, we decided we'd do events. And so basically the first event that we created was Winterfest. And
about what year was that?
1989 was the first year for Winterfest.
And just to put it in perspective, how old are you?
How what?
How old are you?
How old am I?
Yep.
I'm only 83.
You'll be 84 in April.
Yeah, 84
and the reason I bring that up is because you are amazing with what you do for the community, and you have for a long time, and I just want to give you those accolades. I mean, you are full of youthful exuberance. You're still going to ball games. You're still doing all the things you do for the community in so many ways. So I wanted to make sure that people realize, like, your story and your history in this town goes back a long ways. I know we did a podcast just with you last year or earlier this year, but anyway, I wanted to kind of put in perspective, like, so when you had this idea at the time, could you describe how, like we've talked about, and I was in business pretty early here about the late 80s and early 90s, but it was dead here in the off season.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't make the money in 100 days of summer,
you were going to the bank for a loan for the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's how a lot of people survived.
So it's interesting now when I think about, and I'll pull it back to the opportunities that the Recreation Association created to bring tourism like Winterfest to the table. But it was weird at that time. I talk about it a lot, like tourism was respected, needed, embraced.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that point trying to expand. I find it's a little different now because I think we have obviously a lot more people than we used to, and that shoulder seasons have gotten busier. But it's still pretty amazing at that time what you did and the people around you, like Mary Pat and others, to figure out a way to bring people here is pretty admirable. Because I mean, it would have been if it would have stayed that way, it would have been cool in a lot of ways, right? It's fun to be nostalgic. I loved growing up here at the time, but from a business perspective, it was difficult.
It was very different, and so we did Winterfest, which we did it not necessarily to invite people to the valley, but as a town thing. It was a community event, and but people started coming because we had all these things. And basically, Winterfest at that time was Snowfest, but it took place at Echo Valley. There was very little going on downtown. Bob File would bring up snow machines, so people who'd never been on a snow machine could go snowmobiling. The snowmobile club was up there doing all kinds of different events with kids and stuff. They'd blindfold the driver of the snowmobile, and the kid would guide them around this course and pick up things. And it was fun. They had races. They had downhill skiing and cross-country skiing, and the Boy Scouts were there teaching winter survival techniques. The Forest Service was there. Everybody was involved. And then people started realizing that this was going on, and they started coming every year. They would actually get a room at a hotel long before it started or before it happened. Then we had the year that we didn't have any snow. So that was the year that the splash started and the bonfire started. John Walcker would, we told all the people in town to put their Christmas trees in the alley. And John Walcker would grab the Boy Scouts, and they'd grab a couple of pickups, and they'd go down through all the alleys and pick up all the Christmas trees and take them down and set them up for the bonfire. It was fun. I mean, it was everybody was having fun with it. Then we came to the fall aspect of it, and I came up with the idea because I had at that time had started mountain biking, and I thought, why not have a mountain bike race here? And so we had a mountain bike race, and that was in 1991. And it continues to this day, actually, but different people are putting it on now. But our first mountain bike race, you could call it a failure. We only had like 65 riders.
That seems like a lot for first.
But it was in the fall, and
it seems like a lot
there
to
were
me.
Other events going on that they were probably attending to. And Wendy Zupan and her partner had an event where they had the Northwest Series around the state, and they said, well, hey, why don't we take it over? We'll share proceeds, take it over, and we will make this a big event. The first year that they ran it, we had 600 mountain bikers.
Wow.
I would say 400 of them were downhill people, and the rest were cross country. So, it became a big deal. She actually, their event, as event coordinators, they actually held the World Championship race up at Snoqualmie one year. They were good at it. When they left, somebody else took over. I can't remember who. But anyway, it continues today, and today it's run by Evan Plews down at Ridge Cycle. And he didn't do it this year because he didn't have enough people coming. But he's taken it over and runs the races up there now. So it's been a long, long time, and it brings people to town. And
sounds like a common theme is you guys had the vision in the beginning in the late 80s, and then eventually it grows into something and morphs into something. But it started with a vision. Yep. And just volunteers.
Yep, that's exactly right. And we had a huge group. We had meetings every Friday morning. We weren't one of these, we meet once a month or twice a month. We had a meeting every Friday morning, and we would have everybody there, including the police chief, the PUD commissioner, the district ranger. I mean, everybody came to these meetings. We'd have 20, 30 people sitting around at the crockery, upstairs at the crockery, having breakfast, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes. I was still smoking back in those days. But it morphed into a rather large organization.
So did you have actually a board of directors?
Yes, we did. We had
formal?
Yeah, we became a 501c3. And so then what did we do? We had, John Walker, being a big golfing fan, say, why don't we do a golf tournament? So he ran a golf tournament up the Lake Chelan course up here for a number of years, and it was well attended, and it was a fundraiser for us. And then we jumped into the Slam and Jam. We had I can't remember his name, but at that time we had grown so large that people were coming to us with ideas for events, and he and his wife came to us and said, "Hey, we'd like to throw, we would like to do a 3-on-3 basketball tournament in Chelan. Would you help us?" We said, "Of course," you know. So.
What year is this now?
1993 was the year that we started that. It was 94 was the first.
Yeah, I played in that with some college buddies.
Yeah,
more
on
than
Emerson Street.
Yeah,
on Emerson Street.
Yeah, and then I remember it moved to the park.
Yeah, that's because the downtown people didn't like it downtown because they said there was too much bubble gum on the sidewalk. You know, they came up with all kinds of reasons not to do
parking,
it. But we moved over to Stinky Field for 1 year, and that worked, but it wasn't very good. So we ended up moving it over to Don Morse Park in the parking lot. And we'd take up half the parking lot and use the 2 standards that are there. And we got our standards free from Yakima. They gave them up to us. There were 12. I think we had 12 basketball standards. So we'd go out and sell advertising on the backboards. And
yeah, I remember doing that.
Yeah. And we had our first year at Emerson Street. We had 102 teams.
Wow.
And I had to break up a fight between Bozel and the team they were playing for the championship. They were all, you know,
passionate guys.
Yeah, and it was a championship game.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to get out and say, "Do you want?" They were tied. I said, "Do you want the game to continue, or you just want to call it right now? Because we're not going to have this." They decided that they'll stop snipping at each other and you know, play the game.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, I love it.
No one else wanted to go out and stop it.
I said,
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
So we had the Slam and Jam, and that went on for years and years and years. And right now it's owned. Mike Hurling had ended up with it. You remember Mike, of course.
Yeah,
and he was doing the AAU stuff, and he ended up with it, and all the money and the funding that came in from the Slam and Jam went to the AAU program. So the kids would have, shirts and whatever they needed, and there were also scholarships for kids that couldn't afford. So he ended up selling it to Abby's husband,
Byron.
Mm-hmm. And so Byron Varellen owns it now, and he tried to do a 3-on-3 downtown in July on Emerson Street, which, that's not happening. And I told him, you gotta do it the last week of August because the kids are still out of school, and that's the only event that we had that was within that summer tourism. But the last week of August, no one was here. They're all coming on Labor Day, so we'd end up with generally somewhere between 65 and 90 teams, and everybody pitched in to put the standards up, and it was fun.
That was we talk about it in the next episode with John too, but that seems like at the time tourism was very important and needed in the off season, and then also the need to transition from like the party town to summertime frat parties and all that, because it was pretty wild when I was in high school.
Oh yeah.
And then kind of get to more family driven events. So it's kind of a common theme with almost everything that the Rec Association did was about families.
There was very little that wasn't family oriented or event specific, and that's where the Hydrofest came in. When John got the Hydrofest going, he came up with that idea because he knew Mark and Mitch and he worked on hydroplanes. And why not put we had it in the late 50s. Why not do it again, And as John explained, he had to go to all the houses and get permission to run the hydros for a weekend. And that's still an ongoing event. I mean, it's morphed into a major event in Lake Chelan every year. And it's morphed into actually 3 events, from the Hydrofest, which is out in Manson now, to Mahogany and Merlot, and then in June they have the spring hydroplanes here. Mitch and Mark and John put on the spring one. So, and that's all for the Hydroplane Museum, and it's a fundraiser for them. And the Mahogany end of it came from another fellow, John. Trying to remember his last name, but at any rate, he brought the Mahogany folks in, and that's how it became Mahogany Merlot, because John Walcker had been bringing in the old museum boats for years, before we became Mahogany Merlot.
I like that event because you can walk down. For people that don't know, you bring in all the old teak boats and Chris Crafts and
Oh God, we've had some boats here that have been unbelievable.
Yeah,
and
you can walk down and check them out at the marina in the
every
city.
year the University of Washington brings their boat over, the one that follows the rowers. It was here again this year. Well, I can't remember the name of it, but cool stuff, And people love it. The weather's great generally. They sit on the grass and they watch the hydroplanes, and of course the museum's giving rides for. I heard this year it was $3,000 for a ride in a hydroplane.
What? That's cool.
John got me a ride one year, and that was fun. I mean, getting on that lake at 120 miles an hour is pretty amazing stuff. Another knock off my bucket list of things to do.
Yeah, experience you wouldn't get anywhere else. I mean,
where are you
going to get that?
Everybody that's ever done it just absolutely loves that particular thing. So, then we kind of ran out of money, so we did the bachelor auction, and that raised basically $10,000 on that first one, and that was fun. But we got to a point where we had all these different events going on, and they were self-perpetuating basically. And we thought, this town needs more than, we can always do the tourism thing, but we need to move forward and do some long-term planning. And at that time, Larry Myshak, I'm sure you know Larry, he was the president of Chelan Flyers, came to us and he said, we want to invite the 1994 Women's World Hang Gliding Championships to Chelan, because Chelan had already been pretty famous for hang gliding. But in order to do that, they had to go to California to the FIA meeting and make the proposal. So I ended up with Dave Graybill, and I ended up writing the proposal for them. And then the Rec Association funded their trip to San Francisco to the FIA meeting.
What year was that?
That was in it started in 1993. 94 was the year that the event actually took place, but they went down in 93 and made the proposal and ended up with it. So that put us into motion of John Walcker taking machinery up to the top of the butte and shaving off the big hill up there, and we were doing the sky park, and we put down cables for hang gliders to tie down in case of little hurricanes that came in. It was great. We also did the Chelan Chase. Glenda Millette brought that to us, and she was a member. And so we did the Chelan Chase for a number of years and gave the money back to the hospital for cancer, and also gave some money to Brewster. Then Larry Peterson, who used to be the CEO at the hospital, came but wanted a motorcycle rally, so we did a motorcycle rally, which really upset the chief of police here. Ed Bush did not like the idea of a motorcycle rally because that was going to bring in all those bad motorcycle guys, and it turned out to be guys like you, middle-aged guys that were wanting to live their life on a motorcycle for a while.
Yeah, doctors and lawyers.
Yeah, there were a bunch of old doctors,
on the Harley Hog outfit.
Attorneys. It was a great event.
That's great.
I think that morphed into an event up at Mansfield. Actually, I'm not sure. They left Chelan and went up to But then we got into long-term work. And we worked with Chelan County, City of Chelan, Senator Sellers, Representative Parlett, and we developed an agreement with the Department. That was on the Sky Park. We developed an agreement with the Department of Natural Resources so that long-term lease for hang gliding and now paragliding is still in place. That lease. Yeah. There are definite criteria that go along with that lease. If you go up to the top of the butte to watch them, you got to take a shovel and a fire. I mean, they have a fire machine up there, fire truck up there too, full of water. So there's criteria, and that road's not.
There's a lot of people, and for people that don't know what we're talking about, when you look up and you see 50 hang gliders,
120 paragliders flying around up there. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
You better have some organization.
Yeah,
you don't want something bad to happen out of something good.
It's run by another guy now, and he gets 120 pilots. I think he caps it at around 120, 125 pilots, but he gets pilots from 22 different nations this last year came to town.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's how Chelan became internationally known, was through the hang gliding. The women's the women's world is what brought the world to Chelan.
And there was a record, I remember a record broken for the longest hang gliding.
Oh yeah.
At one point.
The other thing was
that
the men's hang gliding championships were taking place in Portugal, I think, that year, and the weather was really bad there. They weren't getting flying days in at all, and all the ladies here were sending off messages to all the guys who were hang gliding in Portugal. What a great place Chelan was to fly, how beautiful it was, and on and on. And if you couldn't fly, you went down to the lake and went swimming, and all kinds of things to do. And
for years they'd land right at the Fingers, wouldn't they? Lakeside or the Fingers.
So
good times.
Well, the Lakeside thing was an opening on the hang gliding season, but we had nothing to do with that. Larry had that. But anyway, that was all fun. So then we decided to do long-term planning, and we got into writing the comprehensive trails plan. That took 3.5 years to complete, but we had Dave Erickson, who's now the parks director in Wenatchee, Margie Gromick, who's at that time was at the Forest Service as a trails lead, city planning director, Jim, of course, Jim Ernest, myself, Glenda Millette. A bunch of us got together for 3.5 years for 2 hours every Thursday. To write that.
That's all volunteers too, right?
All volunteer time, and we ended up with a really comprehensive plan, which is still used around the state as an example of what a good plan is. And that's one of the reasons we have the Lakeside Park. It was one of the trail plans that we put in. Now we're having a big argument over the Manson Chelan Trail. Everybody, you're either for it or you're against it, and there's this and
like
that's pretty typical of trail plans. It doesn't matter.
Pretty typical in America.
You're gonna ruin my value of my home if you put a trail in front of it, which isn't true at all. It actually increases the value, which they found out in Seattle with the big trail there. Everybody loves it, and they go to sell their house. Oh yeah, we got the trail right outside our backyard.
It's like most things that are new. They should be met with some apprehension and, to guide people to be careful, and because they're, you've seen things that don't work out, but most things, when you put a lot of time and effort and you bring a lot of smart people together, most things are, the fears are usually, in this town, what I've seen is they're good to have, but at the end of the day, like this, where we're at right now, the Sunset Marina, there was a lot lot of fear around that.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember that.
And then now, it's a beautiful thing, and it helps a lot of people. So it helps a lot of tourism. So
it's kind of one of the reasons that we have Echo Ridge now, is the trails plan.
Mm-hmm. That's so good. That's so cool.
One of our members, who was kind of an associate member, didn't come to all our meetings, was Wally Peterson, who was at the time president of the Snowmobile Club, and he was having problems with cross-country skiers on the snowmobile trails. They were getting into a conflict, and he came to us and Chelan District in Al Murphy, and said, we got to do something. We got to separate these people out of our trails. And so we walked Echo Ridge and all the old logging roads up there, the old skid roads.
Yeah.
And by the time we ended up walking that whole thing, Al Murphy says, I don't see why not. Let's do it. And they got a grant, and Ken Dole got the not developer but designer, and they went up and they did it. And now Echo Ridge is a premier cross-country ski area, mountain biking area, horseback riding, hiking. It's
amazing.
Got over 30 miles of trails up there. And
it's beautiful.
In the wintertime, when we're sucked in here, you can go up there and be in the sunshine, bikini weather up there, basically. Bob Canals just posted a bunch of photos from up there and of the lake that's totally covered with clouds, and he's up there in the sunshine.
Yeah, he's been really amazing volunteer work.
Oh yeah, Bob is amazing. He volunteers for everything.
He's just a good dude.
Builds the trails, doesn't charge him any money. Mm-hmm. He does his real estate business from a cell phone up there. So we did that, and the funding for that was provided by the PUD, which was in-kind funding. The Ranger District was in-kind. Chelan County gave us, $20,000, I think, something like that. And the city of Chelan gave us funds. Port of Chelan County gave us funds. And the final plan was adopted by every agency in Chelan County. So it was a really big deal at the time, and now we're starting to see the fruits of all that labor. So, and that, that makes me kind of proud to. I was involved with that kind of thing because it
should be. That's huge. Like in all that vision that you guys had, and just whether you were able to keep it going forever, which isn't really what normally happens anyway. You had a vision, you got it off the ground, and then it morphs into, like we said, it morphs into something else with more energy.
Yeah.
It takes energy and a lot of volunteers, it sounds like, to do any of these things.
Yeah, there were a number of volunteers. I mean, it didn't matter what event you were going to do, the volunteers would raise their hand and say, yeah, let's do it, And the way we ran events, and I don't think a lot of people that run events understand this, is that when you're starting to plan an event, you delegate duties. And like Dave Graybill was the media guy that would do the marketing. I was the guy at the Mirror that would write the articles, and other people would do other portions of it. But they would be delegated to that individual, and it was his responsibility, his or hers responsibility to make it happen. Stacy Henry, we gave her the job of going out and selling all the backboards.
Yeah.
And we paid her 20% of every backboard she sold.
There you go.
But she had to do it, and she went out and did it. And that was the kind of organization it was.
I remember the golf tournament was that way too. They'd sell sponsorships because as a real estate guy, I was always involved in usually participating and sponsoring, and it was cool. It was fun, and it did bring the community together at these events.
Yeah.
It's not for every event's not for every person, but that's what's cool about the way you guys approached your vision is you kind of seemed to tap different groups and had a different sphere of influence in each one of them.
And as we grew, people started coming to us with ideas like the 3-on-3 and motorcycle. I mean, we hadn't thought of those things. People actually knew we were doing events and came to us and asked, well, can we do this? Can we do that? And then we discuss it as a group. And
there wasn't anybody back in the 90s or in the 80s when you started that said, hey, like somebody had to have these ideas to put this together and volunteer their time. And there's nothing stopping people from doing that again.
No, there really isn't. It would take some passionate people to want to do some things in Chelan, whether it be events or what. I mean, I can remember when Campbell's brought University of Washington, Bellingham, Washington State over to row, and Gonzaga. They all came with their boats and rowed, and then they had an event along with it with the single rowers and that kind of thing. But that died off because I don't know why that stopped, but they would host them. And
is that in conjunction with the sailboat regatta that like Russ Jones was involved?
Jones? No, that's not in conjunction with Russ. That was a Campbell thing because Campbell's grandfather he rowed,
right,
and so they brought them over, and they would come over. They loved it. I mean, they got to stay at Campbell. They loved it. It was summertime, and it was a great event. So there's stuff like that that can still happen. Remember what? I don't know how many years ago it was that Arturo did this paddleboard thing from 25 Mile Creek all the way into Chelan.
Yeah,
and that was a relatively large event too.
What was there? What's the little ducky thing? There's a little rubber duck thing.
I think that was the chamber
bridge.
thing. The duckies in the water. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like that can go on. We kind of wanted to do a senior week here with all kinds of different things for seniors to do, whether it be playing cards or taking hikes or whatever. Come up with a whole list of different things that they could do, and then have somebody help them do it.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that. We had Pat Kelly on an episode.
And I haven't watched it yet.
He's amazing.
He and I talked the other night. Yeah,
and he's like the only guy I know, maybe another guy he mentioned, but doesn't have a cell phone, never had a cell phone.
Yeah.
And what we loved about that conversation is, and it's kind of to your point, these events allow people to have human to human conversations.
Yep.
And in
and Pat's good at that.
And I think that these events I think it's something that authentic conversations with each other. Mm-hmm. We're losing that. We're texting and emailing.
Well, we are.
And these kind of events, especially, like you said, seniors or whoever, that's what's fun. And I think what you have done is shown people, and that's why I love that you came back, and I wanted to focus on this a little bit, because there's I think there's a lot more people here now, especially the retired community.
A lot of new people here.
And a lot of energy and time, and they have the ability to do, but maybe they don't know where to get started.
Yeah.
And I think that what you guys demonstrated back then is why I wanted to kind of really make sure people know that fast forward to today versus the 90s, there's changes, of course. There's a lot of things that are different, and you're going to have to navigate different rules and different things, but all you guys did is get together and go, hey, I have an idea. I mean, it sounds that simple, like, hey, I want to get together, have an idea, let's see what happens, and let's have fun with it.
Brings up a funny story about Stehegan and the floods of the last couple of weeks. And I was talking to Mark Lippincott, who's a fishing guide, and he took King 5 up, the gal from King 5. And they did a great segment on the floods and all the stuff. But Mark told me, he says, he said, all the people that live up there got to work right away before the NPS could come in and say, well, you need a permit for that. They were getting everything fixed, you know.
Well, they had no choice.
Yeah.
Probably.
They couldn't even get to the landing. I mean, they had to fix it. And so, but it's how people come together, you know, and how they work together to get things done. And Stehegan is a great example of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, this podcast is kind of along that lines. That's why we're doing it. We're hoping people get to know each other instead of each other. And in February, and I hope you can come and maybe cover it with your media side of your brain, which you have. You're always busy. But we're going to get together, maybe do like an old school potluck with all the guests and their friends and family that we've had. We've done like 55 of these in a row.
I love that, yeah.
And just help. That's where when you get people together, and there's no real like reason to get together other than to have conversations. And I'm just going to say thank you to everybody that was on the podcast.
I don't know if it still exists, but back when people started to move here, there was a newcomers club that everybody could join and get to meet people, you know. Yeah. And I don't know whether it exists today or not. I haven't heard of that for a long time, but that'd be a cool thing to get started as a newcomers club where, you know, they could meet at the community center and you know.
I talked to Rod Brooks. He was a board member at the community center.
I saw that you had
his COVID kind of fizzled out his idea, but he had the Grandpa Project.
Yeah.
You know, adopted grandkids and do stuff with the kids that don't have grandpas. And you think about it, how many people are retired here, and I've met them in real estate. You've probably met them too, where they move here. They both work full time for 30 years.
Yeah.
Their kids are grown. They move out. They come here, retire, and they go,
what's there to do?
What do we do now?
What do we do?
So there's a lot of energy and a lot of
it's usually the women that like a little bit of culture. And Chelan, let's face it, Chelan is a rural community. It's been a working town for years, and its culture is sports. High school sports is the culture of this town. Oh yeah, you have the big wind band when they do a concert once or twice a year and that kind of thing. But we used to have the plays that. God, what was her name? She owned the Ruby or worked at the Ruby, died. Anyway, they were always putting on plays, which was kind of a cultural thing. It was great. Yeah. I mean, I did a lot of work for the Wenatchee World for those. I'd do the cover photo of the guy that was doing their event page.
That's what's cool about the community center and having that building for people that have ideas. Yeah. That's such a great place to go and hang out. And
have you been up to upstairs to the Boys and Girls Club?
We're going to go right after this podcast. We're going to go do a meeting, Angela.
You're going to love it. It is totally amazing.
They have a little mini podcast studio up there.
Yeah, they do. They actually have a podcast studio.
So we're going to have, Hector and I are going to head up there, and Nicole's on vacation. That's why she's not here right now. And we're just going to sit down there and talk to, I think that Boys and Girls Club is
it's a game changer in this town. That now the city parks doesn't have to worry about doing the AAU program. The Boys and Girls Club has taken that over. The only thing the city, I think, has taken that still runs is the beach volleyball, because it's right down at Don Morse, and they pay. Des pays good money to use that facility. Yeah. But they bring in coaches from around the United States.
Yeah, talk about a girl. I want to profile Des Phelps every chance I
get.
Des
would be a good one to profile. She's incredible.
She's incredible. And she's so humble.
Yeah. Oh, very humble. And Dennis and I just love her joining us at the state championships and giving us her take of every play.
I talk about it in the last podcast too. I don't remember who it was with, but I listened to that with Dennis Rom and Des, And
I don't even think the professional. I saw a thing on TikTok the other day that they were complaining about the announcers at the championship. The announcers they had didn't even understand volleyball, let alone know what a set was or a pass was, or
Yeah. What I love about Des is when I listened to her, and then when they won the 6th state championship in a row with her daughter, Abby, as the coach, Des made a point of going back in time and thanking all of the coaches and all of the players and all the people, but the one person she didn't thank is the person that founded the club, which is her.
Yeah.
She didn't even speak, but she's like the source of this incredible.
She was our mama volleyball, now grandma volleyball.
Yeah.
She is incredible. Matter of fact, Marley Williams goes twice a week to Spokane, I guess, to an indoor beach volleyball set to train for her move to University of Texas El Paso, where she's going to play beach volleyball.
Yeah,
and then Bren Hubanks, she's off to Florida State as a beach volleyball player. I mean, this program has produced a lot of college players.
Yeah, and a lot of
the college
scholarships.
coaches come up every year to do a thing.
Yeah, and a lot of kids aren't going D1, but they're getting some scholarships.
D2,
they're
whatever,
getting
or
their school pay.
even Bellevue or Wenatchee. Yeah.
So, and it's more than that. It's like you said, this is a sports town. It has been forever, I think. And I was talking to Brooke Isaac about that. And, she was in my grade in Manson. And that's kind of like when you're in a small school, you got 20, I think we had 22 kids.
Yeah.
And 16 of us or something were K through 12. So it's literally like your brother and sister by the time you get to.
I was forced to play football when I moved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We need you. Yeah. I can't afford it. Oh, we'll pay for it.
Yeah, right.
And so I ended up playing 3 years of football.
Yeah.
Not that I was any good. But
and she was saying how when she was at Bainbridge, how it was interesting because she went to the high school, big high school, but bigger than here.
Yeah.
But nobody there. I mean, and that's one of the things I always wanted to say for people that haven't gone to basketball games or football games. If you haven't tried to go, you should go. It's fun. It's fun to see passionate kids, getting after it. And there's something about smaller schools that, like you said, everybody can participate.
Yep.
And I know that's true. For almost all of us that played. Now, if you want to play in a larger school, you better just do that. And you better do it from day one, and that's all you're going to do, one sport. And not for everybody, but for most people. We're here, kids that maybe aren't that athletic, they're still working their butts off, and it's fun to watch.
I can remember going to state championships when the whole town would shut down. The business would literally shut down. I'm at the state championship for 3 days or whatever.
Yeah, Spokane was huge. Yeah. That's one of my favorite memories, is going to the Spokane State Tournament in high school. I mean, that was fun.
Well, and I walk into the gym today, and there's Abby, who I followed through high school. I didn't get to follow Des because I moved here the year you guys graduated, so she'd already been done playing volleyball. I didn't start sports until fall of '88, but I walk in today and there's Steve Stamps. You've done a podcast, Steve, one of the greatest podcasts you've done as far as I'm concerned. But there's Steve Stamps still sitting there coaching, along with Des's husband. And God, I followed them through head coaching positions in Manson, Schlam. I mean, it's just it.
Yeah, it's just something to do. When people think there's nothing to do in the winter, that's something to do, and it's a lot of fun.
It is something to do, and it's a lot of fun. And it doesn't cost much, and it's it's like I put up a little blurb today that, hey, if you haven't got anything to do today, Chelan girls are playing Quincy at 3, and the Chelan boys are playing what the heck's the name of the team from down south? I can't, right off the top of my head, I can't think. But anyway, they're playing at 5.
And so, what's your website that you run?
Lake Chelan. Well, it's my sports goes on Facebook's Lake Chelan Sports and Recreation.
And what's your other website for the community?
All things Lake Chelan.
All Things Lake Chelan, and that's a Facebook group too.
And then I have a blog, which I generally put my city council, fire commission, that kind of thing. So
you might be one of the most informed people.
I don't know about that.
I mean, your energy level that's why I was asked your age. So it's fascinating to me. Like, if we could all have that level of energy now, let alone, you decades later, you've been doing this and you just never lost your passion, Rich. I mean, it's commendable, and and people don't know. That's why I wanted to profile you again, because the work you do. I mean, a lot of it's volunteer work.
Yeah.
And you just love this town, you love this people, and love
well,
the
like
kids.
I told you before on our last the podcast you did with me is that all my years on the west side, 29 years, and coming back here and not wanting to leave, and I haven't left. I love it here. But I've had a good life. If I were to die tomorrow, I wouldn't have any complaints at all. Quite frankly, it's been good, and everything I've done, I've wanted to do, and have.
Yeah, if you want to go watch his podcast, these guys live like 7 lives. So
yeah,
you've been a busy guy.
So,
what would you suggest before we let you go? And we're going to merge this one into the podcast we recorded with John Walcker and you. What would you say to people that are listening that have some time and energy and say, I'd like to volunteer, I'd like to do something? How would we get the rec association or something like that going again?
Well, it's kind of like John said, we don't really want to run a rec association again, but we'd be more than willing to be an advisory, couple of guys to advise. Mm-hmm. Dave Graybill would probably be more than happy to come up and do it. He's down in Wenatchee. And advise a group of potential volunteers on how to do it.
Yeah, well, if you want to get a hold of Rich, he's on Facebook. You can text me.
If people are interested, we'd be more than willing to talk to them about it and how we started and how we did it. And but it does take a group, and it takes a group that's passionate enough to want to stick with it.
Do you have any other ideas besides the senior week?
I've got a list at home. I do. I'd have to look it up. I got paperwork.
That's awesome.
What was it that Bob Harris said the other day when he did his retirement thing? They did his retirement thing. He retired after 55 years at the Eisenhart Irrigation District. 55 years.
Wow.
And so that was his last meeting, right? So and Jackie DePauli, his daughter, called me from California and says, "Can you take a couple of photos?" So I did. Yeah. And I said, "Well, this is your last meeting." He says, "No." He says, "I'll be here next week with boxes and boxes of history to give to them." Mm-hmm. So they might need it. There might be something that happens on an irrigation district that they need to research and figure out how to fix.
Yeah, where's that valve?
So he's coming to the next meeting. He isn't quitting.
No, man. Retirement just, I don't know. Is there such a thing? If you're passionate about what you do?
Yeah, he'd be a good one. Another good one to get, and I don't know if you could ever pull it off, would get Joey.
Yeah.
Joey Harris.
I'm going to text him. I talked to...
he's going to be here on the 30th.
Yeah, that's what I heard, yeah. Kathy Joe reached out to me, and so I got his cell number.
Yeah, his story's,
it's amazing.
For a small town, his story is amazing.
Yeah, I was able to follow him all the way through because, Alice worked with me for a long time.
Well, yeah.
And then my daughter and Joey were in the same grade, so we were always at all the, we saw all the stuff growing up. And I lived right above him for years, and I just remember late at night, he had a little small concrete basketball.
I remember walking in the gym one day, and he didn't have a basketball with him. He was leaning up against the wall, and I said, "Joey, where's your basketball?" And he reaches behind him, pulls it out. He was leaning up against it.
And we're talking about
He always had a basketball.
Joey Hoops, Joe Harris, who played, I think, 10 years in the NBA.
10 years in the NBA.
And he's a good guy.
Good guy. And he's never changed. He's been humble.
And a great family.
Been humble all his life. And you give Alice a lot of that credit, and along with Joe.
And Frank.
They both, Yeah. And the daughters are incredible, too. I guess Katie's going to be here, too, which is cool. I haven't seen Katie for a while.
Yeah, I think
she's a kindergarten teacher, I think.
Teacher
down in
And Mac was in my son's grade, so it was like we were, that 10-year run, we worked together at Lake Chelan Properties. It was fun. So hopefully we can. He's a busy guy. But, it would be, it is a unique story, and it's a great dreams do come true.
It'd be fun to get both Joe and him together.
That would be.
Because he's going to be put into the
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Or wasn't he already?
That's on the 30th, yeah.
Joey is.
Joe Harris.
Joe is
Dad, Joe Harris.
I thought he was already in the high school Hall of Fame.
No. Joey's coming up, but he's not. Joey's been put in, I think.
Oh.
This is Joe Harris. He's all his years of coaching and stuff.
Yeah. It's a pretty amazing story, to say the least, and it's one of grit and determination and resilience. It wasn't like he just woke up one day and I'm in the NBA.
Again, it's that sports connection.
Yeah.
Let's face it. It's the sports connection. When we started the Rec Association, agriculture was still the big. It was still the big thing. Our town was run by agriculture, and our economy was agriculture. It wasn't tourism. Tourism has always been a thing in Chelan since the 1800s, 1890s, but it wasn't the prevailing economic driver in this town.
Yeah.
Now tourism is the driving thing, and
that's a good thing. I mean, I talk about it a lot. I mean, without it, it would be a very different place. And like anything, it's not going to be always perfect.
Yeah, no.
But, having patience and understanding and grace and forgiveness, and also it's okay to question things, and debates are good. And hopefully this podcast, as we continue to do it, will help people find things that we have in common much more than we thought.
Yeah.
And then when you have something in common with somebody, I find that it's a little easier to have empathy and compassion and a little less judgment, because I now know Rich Uhlhorn. I don't know of him. And so hopefully that's what this podcast is doing. And I just want to thank you again for all your decades, not years, decades of service. So you should be...
As long as you're having fun, you might as well do it. I mean, what else would I do? I mean, seriously.
Knowing you, I don't know.
Sit at home and read a book. I mean, if I had the money, I'd go travel, I'm sure, but take photos of flowers. I'm enjoying it. I enjoy the kids. A lot of the kids enjoy me. Matter of fact, last night, the Finch kids came up and gave me a big hug, the two girls, and, back in town for the holidays and stuff. I mean, you build relationships.
Sure. Lifetime. Yeah, well, anyway, we'll merge this one into John and you, and we'll keep this conversation going. And maybe we've duplicated some of it, but that's okay, because we call this podcast Small Towns Unscripted for a reason.
Are you heading directly out to the community center? You might come out and
check it out
before we go. Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah. Check out. You're going to use their podcast thing.
I don't know. We'll see when we get there. We got Hector. See if.
Well, you probably need your cameras, but
we'll sit there and do it.
But it is a podcast thing. I was going to say it'd be a great thing to get a picture of you two doing this.
Yeah, let's do it.
At the community center.
Let's do it.
People don't know who the hell you are either, Russ.
I know. They know of me.
They know of you, but they got all these stories.
Half of it's true, half of it's not. All right. Talk to you soon, Rich.
Okay.
Hey, John Walcker.
Hello.
Rich Uhlhorn. This is Nicole Turner.
Yes.
I'm Russ McClellan. Welcome to Small Towns Unscripted, gentlemen.
Yeah.
You're a veteran, Rich.
I'm a vet.
Yeah, you're the second timer, actually.
Am I? Well, that was the one thing we didn't bring up during my first interview was the Rec Association, and I kind of hit myself.
Well, you had about 7 lives, so
yeah, you have done quite a bit.
More things in your life than I. That's what I love about this
keeps
podcast.
Adding to it.
Right, you just keep grinding.
You find out all kinds of stuff.
You do, and you know what? The reason we started this is that a lot of people know of each other, but we don't really know the history. We don't really know the past. And the idea is, if you get to know someone a little bit anyway, maybe you'll be a little less judgmental, because you'll probably have more in common with each other as a community. And so hopefully it's uniting some people, and it's just fun. It's just fun to listen to where'd you come from, how'd you get to where you're at, because you kind of, especially with multiple generations, right? There's a lot of history here. And so I want to talk, John, I want to get into you first, if you're all right, because I know of your past, like your dad and your building background, but I don't really know how you guys got from Seattle, if you were in Seattle, right, to here, because you were a big building company in Seattle.
We were the second largest home builder in the state of Washington, and so when I got out of the service, we'd been building houses my whole life, and then I went in the service for 4 years and got out, and then we really cranked it up. So we were building 105, 110 houses a year.
Wow.
Plus commercial office buildings and apartment houses. And so, Larry Hillis was the biggest builder, and then we were second biggest. And then the big boys came in, the big corporate guys from back east came in, and they come in and build 500 houses. So, but we were big time builders until 1979, when the market went. And
when rates went,
we're selling houses for 14% interest.
Wow!
But I was building them for $36,000, and I was buying a lot, complete curb gutter sidewalk for $1,700. So
it's changed a bit.
Could we go back to that?
Yeah, where are those lots?
Yeah,
that was really good. But we had I got elected to the National Association of Home Builders, so I was on the senior board for the United States for about 5 years, and the Snohomish County Master Builders and the Seattle Master Builders and all that stuff. So.
Well, thanks for your service. What branch of the military did you go into?
United States Navy.
Navy?
Oh,
Naval
sweet.
Air. So I closed down Sandpoint Naval Air Station in 1969 and moved it to Whidbey Island, and I got out in 74.
What part of the air wing were you in?
I was P-2Vs is what we flew, anti-submarine, and they fly for 22 hours, but they only did 126 miles an hour. So
Were you in the?
I was on the nose. I was the guy in the nose.
Oh,
They have a big clear glass nose,
All right,
and you sat in there and then you cranked out, and so you were out in a rail, and the only thing was holding you up was a rail, and it was glass all the way around.
And you had a machine
Oh
gun?
my goodness.
No, I had a torchlight. And that's what they do is they give me a torchlight. They wouldn't give me any guns. So. But when we went and shot rockets and stuff, I was the only guy who could see where the rockets would land. So
Interesting. That was right during Vietnam, right after Vietnam.
right up.
Vietnam was going on, right?
Oh, Vietnam was then. Yeah. In fact, that's why I went. I walked down to Sandpoint Naval Air Station and joined the Navy. My draft number was 13, so same day I went down and joined the Navy.
Yeah.
And
Did you have to get into the mix and do the work over in Vietnam?
no, I didn't go to Vietnam. So what I did is I extended out for 2 more years active duty, and I was an instructor for the reserves coming in on the weekends.
Okay.
So trying to teach them how to do something.
Yeah. I don't know if you knew, my son was in the Marine Corps and was in the aviation side.
Yeah.
He did the V-22 Osprey. So he was
yeah.
a crew member, electronics.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had fun.
That's what I worked on all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I was an aviation electrician. So
Yeah, that's what he was kind of
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah.
Right
that's
on.
Great.
Well, and then you, how did Chelan get in the mix in your life?
Well, I came over here in 1972 and stayed at the state park. And we'd been coming over here a lot when I was a kid, way younger. We'd go to All Things Lake, we'd go here. But in 72, I went to the park, and that's when the things were a little bit crazy on Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
And I threw a firecracker in the air, and I was arrested before it even blew up.
Wow.
So they put me in the bus, and then they let me out and wrote a ticket for $150 or something, whatever it was.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah. So I said at that point, I said, that's it, I'm done. I'm not coming back here again, so I'm going to buy something here and build it. So Ron Lefebvre was a good friend of mine, and Ron had a piece of property right at Rocky Point, and Don Schmidtman owned another piece, and so we bought Don's piece and built right there. So
Nice.
bought 400 foot of waterfront for $42,000.
Oh, let's do that
And
again.
I built 4 houses on it. So
Back when you could do things real easy and quick, and
yeah, I put a bulk in it. I started working on it the middle of May and poured it the last weekend in May, and then the next week the water was all the way up. So it was
Wow.
yeah, it was a lot easier back in those
things
days.
have changed a bit with regulations, haven't they?
Oh my God! I used to be able to go in and pick up building permits. I could pick up 5 in one day. I just walk in and say, "Here's the new plot plan. You've already approved the basic structure of the house," because I built the same house over and over and over and over. And so I'd walk in with 3 plot plans or 5 plot plans and pay them $1,000, and I get 5 building permits same day.
Wow.
Now it takes a while.
Takes a while. Yeah.
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 You too many people looking at things, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I've been here and I built that house in '74, and we moved over here and then things kind of went down the drain in '79 again over there, and then '80s, and I came over here, and I don't know how I got hooked into the hotel, but I bought the hotel in '83.
83, the Caravel Hotel.
Caravel, yeah.
Which is now the Grandview.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, that was from, yeah, it was old and wore out, but
That was
very
iconic.
small.
That was a good time. I snuck into that pool a lot growing
I
up.
know. So I used to chase Mitch and Mark out of there all the time.
I got chased out of there a few times too.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a few kids coming down every day. So
Yeah, you
But,
either
yeah.
got in good with somebody or you got kicked out.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it worked. If you're an obnoxious little kid, you got kicked out. If
Yeah, you
kinda
were gone.
Did some work with somebody,
yeah,
sweep up a little bit.
I'd grab all their bicycles and bring them into the office. And you have to come back in the office and pick them
I
up, and
remember.
I'd go,
I think mine was one of those.
yeah.
Oh, he's like, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I probably, yeah. You might have been one of them, all right, so you never know.
Oh, I love that. That's
What year
so funny.
what year did the Grandview kick off?
We started that in 2005,
Yeah.
and we converted it to condominiums, basically.
Yeah.
And I went to a Donald Trump meeting in Las Vegas in 2003, and they instructed me on how to do this. Of course, they wanted to do it themselves, but
Yeah.
I figured I could do it myself.
Condo
I did.
Tel, yeah.
But, yeah.
I miss old Eddie.
Yeah,
Eddie Ferguson.
yeah, he did. Yeah, Ed was pretty hyped up over that deal. He made a ton of money on that. So
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Airborne Eddie, right?
Airborne Eddie, yeah.
I
he and I
wish I
still-
would have had a conversation with him on this podcast.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
guy was
He
something else.
he and I go skiing every Thursday at Mission Ridge. So finally, after a few years, I could keep up with him. But
You know, a funny story about Eddie. He called me once, and I had a German short hair that would run around town all the time, run into my office there by Swim World. And one day, I was out of town, and Eddie says, "Hey, Russ, your dog's at Campbell's. He just went into, I think it was like a bar mitzvah or something was happening." He goes, "He went out on the dance floor. Now he's up here on the." It's like 11 o'clock at night. Now he's up here on the veranda. You want me to take him home? Like, sure. Would you mind putting him in the kennel?
Yeah.
All right, no problem. I got him.
appreciate
That's
that.
small town America right there.
Small
Yeah.
town stuff.
It
Yeah.
was really small town back then. So yeah,
And you're still building.
still building. Yeah, I'm building right now. I've
Still
got
hard at it.
2 houses going. I just finished a house from Jennifer, my daughter, and my granddaughter Lily. We bought some property out by the old cemetery, and so then I'm supposed to be starting mine too, but I've got to dig up a few more dinero.
Yeah, the shillings. I always need some money.
Yeah,
You always need money.
Ain't like it used to be, but yeah.
Now you've been. I used to say, you know, I'm still using those panels you gave me.
I know.
For the home show. That must have been around 2005, I think.
Yeah, that's when I quit.
Somewhere
That's
in there.
when I quit doing
Yeah,
it.
because you were the original gangster when it came to the
Yeah, no,
promotion.
I did the home show for 18 years,
Yeah.
and yeah, because it was
This is my 26th year.
yeah,
this
yeah,
year.
yeah. The Chelans and I, well, Mike and I were best buddies since Tara and Jennifer were about 3 years old. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was that home show was a good business for us because, you know, we started doing it because we had no business in the winter.
Yeah,
So we'd go
yeah.
over there and try to talk to somebody, do the boat show, the home show, and the snowmobile show, and
Then the golf show and the
golf
bike show.
I did all of
We're all
them.
out at the
I was
same
gone
time.
every winter for about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it did help business. There's
Oh,
no
yeah,
question
it's huge.
about it.
Well, I think now we're just talking about it with Pat Kelly in the last episode we did, and how human-to-human interaction is so important today.
Yeah.
And that I think that we're going to see the pendulums, at least in my company, we're trying to figure out what are more of those kind of things where you can actually have conversations with people.
Right. Somebody.
Where you can sit down, have a cup of coffee with them, get to know them. And I think those kind of shows, and I did a seminar that I've been doing a long time about the historical, where we come from, where we at, where we go in real estate. So we've done a lot of that in Seattle. Probably done 100 of those seminars where we fully cater it. That's been good too, and it's just a great way in the winter to get over where the people are, you know,
Yeah.
talk to them.
Yeah, get a personal relationship going with somebody, and then, you know, I haven't spent one nickel advertising in my whole life, and it's all word of mouth. And but you know, it's over there at the home show or whatever we're doing. So I mean,
Yeah, you know, when you do it long enough too, you got people, many clients
Yeah.
yeah,
that you met there are coming back. Hey, what's happening? You know,
yeah. You know,
it's
just
fun.
over here, you know, I built like 16 or 20 some houses, I guess I built. So and then did Chelan Ridge and did Key Bay and all that stuff. So and then did all the condominiums over here, Lake Street condominiums, and so I mean, I've done a lot of stuff and met a lot of people and got a lot of good referrals. So
Yeah. Well, you've seen the ups and downs like a lot of us.
Oh, man.
in real estate.
yeah, I've been rich and broke 4 times. So,
Yeah. That
so I'm
happens.
kind of in between right now.
It happens. It happens. That's the way the game goes.
I know.
All right, guys. So you're together, both here today, primarily because you've been like the foundation of the Recreation Association for
Well,
quite a while, right?
Yeah.
Since it started.
Just a kind of a prehistory of the Lake Chelan Recreation Association was in 1989. Mary Pat Schofield and Chris Emil wanted to start the Sunnyside program because Bear Mountains Cross Country had just opened up as a commercial cross country ski area. So we all met at the Caravel John gave us a nice conference room, and there was the Forest Service, Mary Pat. We just had a whole bunch of people there, snowmobile club people and the ski clubs. And at that time, it was named the Lake Chelan Winter Recreation Association.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't but a year later that we finally figured out that, we've got a shoulder season that goes from Memorial Day to Labor Day when the kids go back to school, and there's really not much happening in Chelan at the time. So how do we structure an organization to kind of kick the shoulder season into speed? And so we pulled together what I would call a real mover and shaker group in Chelan, and that included, and you'll probably remember a lot of these names, Pat Early,
Oh yeah,
Jim Ernest, of course, Dave Graybill, Barbara Minton. I don't know whether you knew Barb. She was at the Forest Service. Sandy Salee, I know you know that name. Mary Pat, of course. Kurt Epperson out in Manson, real estate attorney. Stacy Henry and Brett. Lori, what's Lori's last name?
Do blank.
Miller. Lori
okay.
Miller, yeah. And then we had all these associates. We had Al Murphy, the ranger, Jim Wall, the PUD commissioner, Ed Bush, the police chief, Wally Peterson, the snowmobile club, Margie Gromek, Forest Service, Horseman's Club was with us, Nordic Ski Club was with us, the Ski Hill was with us, Tim and Chris Raines and Dean Haggerty, you remember Dean, Echo Valley, the Chamber, at that time the Chamber was with us, of course Mitch and Mark Evans and Jack Raines at the boat company. And if I've forgotten anybody, I'm sorry, but that took me a while to put that list together.
Yeah.
But we would have meetings every Friday morning at 7 o'clock.
Wow.
Every week.
It's hard to get anybody
Every
to go
week.
to those.
All
And
year
we would have 20 to 30 people at every meeting, including the PUD commissioner and all of them. So we could make decisions right there at the meeting. Hey, we want to do this event. You have any problems with that? And Bush would say, I don't have a problem with it. PUD commissioner, I don't have a problem.
Now,
Al would say, I don't have
let
a
me
problem.
go back once when you were thinking about formulating it. Was that based on we need more tourism? Was that what
It was based on more tourism in the wintertime or in the off season.
Yeah, it's funny to me because I don't know when that concept turned to be a negative, because it still isn't really. I mean, you still have the promotion of that, and then you sure have a lot of people that are like, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Why do we want those people here?
Well, before we
It's
started,
like
when I bought the hotel in '83, we closed September 15th.
Yeah.
Blew the water lines out, turned the gas off, turned the electricity
No,
off.
that's-
and
Campbell's would
didn't
close.
open until May 15th.
Yeah.
Well, that's the funny
Wow.
part about the dichotomy of attitude. When, as we grow, we get a lot of different perceptions of reality, I think. But without the tourism dollars, we have nothing. This town's,
Yeah.
I mean, ag industries is in trouble. Again, I mean, it's a tough game. So tourism really is the
That
funds
was
so many things.
That was the driver, is to
Yeah.
bring people here during the shoulder seasons.
Then
And
off-season, yeah.
yeah, and so we changed the name to the Recreation Association at that time and had all these people that were interested. And I think the first event was my event. I brought up the Lake Chelan mountain bike race as the first event in 1991. Then we did the 3-on-3 in 93.
Was that at Echo Ridge? Was Echo Ridge there then?
With the bike race, no, Echo Ridge wasn't even
An
wasn't
idea.
even dreamed yet. That came later. No, the mountain bike race actually took place at Echo Valley and up and
Right.
around behind,
right,
and then it would
okay.
use roads coming back in.
Got it.
But then we had the 3-on-3, and then John got the hydroplane races going. All of the events that, and of course the first event was Winterfest actually.
Yeah.
Or actually it was Snowfest at that
Yeah.
time until we didn't have any snow. And when we didn't have any snow, that's when we put the fire out and the bonfire out and then the splash. And we had guys all over town calling each other and challenging each other to jump into the lake for X number of dollars. And Steve Byquist's wife would not let him do it. He was being challenged every day on Cozy, and his wife wouldn't let him do it because she was afraid he was going to have a heart attack.
Aw.
The first year we only had 5 guys go in the water,
Yeah.
but then after that there was
It's-
many
That's big
more.
now.
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
That polar plunge is huge.
Yeah.
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 But we
Vicki
had,
Downey talked about that a
had
lot.
the big fire going in there, and everybody's. Yeah, it was a good event. And,
It was a
you know,
great event.
Our Winterfest was way different than what's going on right now because we planned it for kids and for families.
It was a family
So-
event.
So we did piles of snow so they could do snow sculptures. And we had a chili cook-off, and we had a bunch of other contests. And and it was designed for families. That's the whole idea.
And the thing was is that everybody was involved. The year we didn't have any snow, the city of Chelan took their loader up into the mountains and the dump truck, loaded up with snow and brought it down for the snow sculptures.
There you go.
No cost, but that's what the community did at that time for that particular event. So yeah, pretty amazing stuff.
Now you're still active, right? In the Recreation Association?
Well,
No,
it's not really. I'm still active from a hydroplane side, but I do the hydroplane races.
The first Winterfest was up at Echo Valley. We had the Forest Service up there. We had the Snowmobile Club up there. Filed boats would bring up snowmobiles, so if people had never ridden a snowmobile, they'd be able to take a snowmobile out. They had snowmobile races. They had snowmobile fun things, and Boy Scouts were up there teaching winter survival. I mean, it was a family thing.
When did the hang gliding start?
That was '94.
Was that, were you guys involved in the Rec Association?
Yeah.
What?
The hang gliding competition?
Oh yeah, I wrote the proposal for the FIA. FIA, the Federal Aeronautical whatever. And then the Rec Association actually funded Larry Myshak, and I'm not sure who went with him to San Francisco to propose the hang gliding, the Women's World Hang Gliding Championship in 1993, and it was approved. So in 1994 we had the first Women's World Hang Gliding Championship.
I just happened to have a D8 bulldozer and a 988 loader, and it used to be a big hill where you park up there now. We took it down 2 days; it was gone.
You got a parking lot.
Yeah,
and we
put in the parking lot.
We put in,
and the world didn't fall apart.
No, it didn't.
Weird.
We put in cables so that the hang gliders could tie their hang gliders down in case.
Now, wasn't there the national record set for distance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went all the way to Spokane.
Wow.
Because of the thermals that come.
Yep.
Well, they climb thermals and then they glide until they find another thermal, and they just keep going.
Did that just happen one time? Like 1 year? Or
that was a world championship.
That was a world championship. It happened twice, 1994 and 2000. Not sure exactly what date it was, but John did what we called the Sky Park. We really actually worked with the DNR. We wanted to put a Sky Park in there that would have a thing of the stars, so people would go up there at night and do the night sky thing and look at the stars and know what they're looking at and stuff. And it just never materialized. But John's work was instrumental in making the World Championship really. Him and Jim. I think Jim was involved with that.
Oh yeah, Jim and Charlie Lafferty.
Yeah.
Charlie drove the D8 up the hill. I drove the 988 up the road.
Can you imagine now if you did?
And we got the county to clean the road up for the championship too. They actually came in and
they thought it was
graded.
great.
Yeah, it's fun. That's what I'm kind of in my mind. I remember these things, kind of what all the things over the last 35 years I've been doing real estate, and it was always good. Like everything was good. These ideas were well received. Very happy. I'm trying to remember, when did it shift? Like now, if you drove a cat up towards the butte, good luck.
Oh my God, you'd be arrested.
It'd be on Facebook first of all. Within the first 30 seconds, you were even touching the road.
So I'm just trying to when did that movement change? Like when did?
Well, a number of people left the valley. Pat Early left. Dave Graybill left. Kurt Epperson left. I mean, there were a lot of people that were directly involved. Left the valley, and just kind of, we would meet every Friday after the 20, 30 person meetings. We'd meet up at Campbell's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, go over things, and kind of try to come up with new events. We had an event that we were getting ready to launch that was a whole week for senior citizens after Labor Day, and we were going to have all kinds of events for them to do, from playing cribbage to getting out and walking.
Great idea.
Yeah,
it would have worked. But
it would have worked.
I think when we started to get invaded by the Seattleites is when that whole thing started.
You think
changing.
2008 had anything to do with it too? Like a recession of 2008?
Yeah, but I think it had actually started a little bit earlier than that. So, when I started the hydroplane races, I had to go around. Part of the deal was the mayor and the chief of police made me go around to get signatures from everybody on the lower basin saying it was okay to have a hydroplane race here again. Because they all remembered the 1960s when things were just crazy.
So let's go back in time with hydros a little bit and explain, because at one point there was unlimited races here.
Yeah, from 57 to 60.
And for people that don't know, what's an unlimited hydroplane?
Yeah.
Basically, it's supposed to be unlimited, but it's they have the biggest engines they could find back then. So it was either a Merlin Rolls-Royce or Allison engine, and they put out, they're 2,200 cubic inches, and they put out about 1,500 horsepower stock, and then they jack them up, and so they do 200 miles an hour, and but it was really popular here when the people came in. But Chelan was only 3,000 people, the whole valley then, and there's 75,000 people showed up for the race.
Wow!
And so
that's crazy.
So
my first view of Lake Chelan, my mom and I came from Montana to join my dad, who was working in Manson.
Yeah.
And we're driving up the hill going out to Manson, and there's hydroplanes out there. 1957, they were out there.
Well, right where we're at right here at the Sunset Marina, isn't this where they launched?
Yeah.
Absolutely. This was the spot. This was where the cranes were at, and everything was there. Yeah.
And they had to unload these big boats off the cranes.
Yeah. So what we do, you back them up to the edge, and then the cranes pick them up and put them in the water. And then a great turnout. I mean, they had tons of boats show up because most of the boats were either from Detroit or Seattle or Indiana, and basically what it amounted to. And
there was no residential. I mean, it was all bare. Beaches, the hillsides. So 75,000 people were camping out on the beaches.
Well,
and
they were
the
camping out in people's front yards and stuff. That wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And the jail was full all weekend.
Oh, I'm sure.
Caused a few problems. Couple
but I get complaints now, even for the hydroplanes now, and they're too damn noisy. They make too much noise, and this and this and this. And I said, well, it's a wonderful event because it comes in the off season, and it fills up the park, fills up Campbell's, fills up my place, and Manson fills up everything out there, and it's a draw.
Well, and it's only for a weekend and for a few hours. It's not like you're doing it from 8 a.m. to midnight.
Well, we stop at no later than 6. I mean, that's the latest we can run. But but they're they're loud. I mean, there's nothing you
that's true
about that.
But
so they stopped the Unlimiteds.
They stopped them in 1960. Yeah. Yes. And then they let me start the limited races again. 94 was the first race.
And that's just a smaller engine?
Smaller engine, smaller boat, yeah.
So for about 20-ish years it stopped.
Yeah,
Sounds
there's
like
nothing going on. I did actually, when we go down and run in San Diego, middle of September, we would bring a bunch of boats up here, and we'd launch them at Goodfellows, and we'd run the salt out of them so that we'd get the salt water out of the engines and stuff, and we'd give rides to all the crew guys, and that's where I got my first ride. So we took the seat out, and I put a towel on the floor, and I sat in the back, and Mitch sat in the front. We both strapped in, and both had oxygen on, went 180 miles an hour, so that was fun.
John got me a ride, I can't remember what year it was, but I got a ride on, I think it was a pay and pack I went out on.
Yeah.
And we got on a straightaway, and the pilot said, "Do you want to take it over?" And I said, yeah. Took it over, and he said, "Just give it back to me in the corners. I don't want you to do it in the corners." No. But we did 120 anyway in the pay and pack. It was a trip.
And I remember the 70s and 80s, early 80s, wasn't it that like Wide World of Sports, and it was nationally televised. There were huge sponsorships.
Oh yeah, gigantic.
Seafair was a gigantic opportunity, and then that's when Mark and Mitch were kind of in that.
They were
racing.
They were going, they were going. So Seafair of Seattle, 500,000 people would show up
easily.
That was the biggest event by far. There wasn't, and every TV station in the country was carrying it. So.
And then it just kind of became less picked up, less popular.
Yeah, I think there was too much competition and from different events. And then what they did is somebody in the upper hierarchy of the hydroplane circuit decided that we weren't going to have beer sponsors, we were going to have cigarette sponsors, and we weren't going to have whiskey sponsors. Well, that just...
They had all the money.
So you're going to have no sponsors.
So you had almost none. I mean, Budweiser used to pay $4 million a year for their sponsorship. Yeah. And
they got all that coverage, right? Because
it was a great deal for them.
Yeah. Did you see the latest news?
No.
Cadillac's got Jack Daniels as a sponsor for Formula One. They're coming into Formula One next year. So that's
whoever's got the cash.
There's nothing wrong, beer and booze sells. I mean, we had Coors for a sponsor. We had Miller Genuine Light. They paid good money. Days. I mean, they paid good money to be sponsors. Yeah. So
we brought over the years. We brought thousands of people to the valley and on the shoulders, and I would say millions in spent money.
Oh,
Not just from camping and doing the events,
Which
but
helps so
shopping
much.
and
Yeah, with the
so forth.
economics of this place to keep it
yeah,
going.
you know, I
But-
think the hydroplane races, we figured out it was something like $250,000 for a weekend.
Easily, yeah.
You know, a lot of the events that we did, you know, the motorcycle rally and stuff that we did out.
Oh, that was a funny one.
And that was great and fun.
It was a great
But
one.
we never got
shows.
any money from anybody.
We actually gave money.
We gave money away, and
Yeah.
you know, and back in those days, you know, I could write a check if we needed to write some money. So, you know, if we were a little bit short on something, or I could fund the money up front, and so we
Yeah.
just broke even. But
Yeah.
you know, we used to do like Winterfest. Our biggest budget ever was $15,000,
and we'd always end up with a profit at the
Yeah.
end. It may
And
have
that-
only been a
that-
400, 500 bucks. We always had a profit at the end.
that included, you know, the fireworks and everything. So
And I think that's to your point, Nicole. I think it's just important when you do, whether it's, you know, a car show or Ironman, you know, Chelan Man or hydroplanes. I think it's just important for people that are thinking about these things that it brings, to your point, brings money to the town and money supply to a community. Trickle down economics is a real thing.
Yeah,
You know,
there's
where
no question. And that's why we still, everything I do is off season. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
just at the beginning in May, and then we do the end of September in Manson,
Yeah.
and then we do first weekend in October.
So right now, what do you guys got? What are you still involved in? Are you doing Merlot and Mahogany? Is that
Oh
yours?
yeah, I do Mahogany Merlot, and yeah, I do the 3 hydroplane races.
That's
and
a
that's
fun
really
one.
all I do anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm still involved in the mountain bike race when it happens, but you know, getting a little long in the tooth for that kind of stuff.
You're gonna live forever.
But
Rich.
you know, it's like the 3-on-3 basketball tournament. We ran that for a number of years. Stacy Henry did a great job, and we'd sell the backboards at what, $350 a piece, and we ended up paying Stacy 20% for everyone she sold, and she made good
I
money.
think I bought a few of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that helps out,
and we, you know,
My great.
but our first 3-on-3 took place on Emerson Avenue from the post office down,
Yeah.
and there were 102 teams here in town, and
That was
yeah,
amazing.
and
Yeah, it was great fun.
their families. Then the Marines came down that were fighting the Tyee fire. They'd been released, and they came to town. They wanted to play, and we said, "We can't help you. We're all bracketed out. It's totally bracketed." But
Yeah.
it was fun stuff. But then the business got mad about being on Emerson, so we ended up over here at Don Morris Park, which turned out to be a good venue.
That was a great idea.
It was
Yeah.
a great venue. There were just all kinds of things like that
Well,
we
what
did,
do you-
and we would get together and we'd brainstorm. Okay, what can we do next? But it got to a point where people like Larry Peterson came to us and said, "Hey, we want to do a motorcycle rally. Can you help us?" And that's how that got started. Yeah, we'll help you.
Yeah.
Ed Bush didn't like it. He thought all the bad guys are going to come to town. It turned out to be
Doctors and lawyers.
middle-aged.
Yeah.
Only people could afford
yeah,
Harleys.
yeah, a Harley. Everybody. That, and,
Yeah.
yeah, they came and they had fun, and the wives were out with them, and the wives said, and I heard them say it, "We're coming back with a car because we can't carry what we want to buy on a motorcycle." So you know, it
Just expose people to Chelan. I mean, a lot of people didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, you get them over here, they go, "Wow, this place is really great."
Yeah.
So,
Well, I love the idea about the senior citizens or anything like that where you have something where they can do
Yeah.
yeah, in
like
September
cribbage
or
tournaments.
October, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
well, if I were to jump in today, it would be basically to get winter recreation going. I mean, we've got one of the premier cross-country ski areas up at Echo Ridge.
Yeah.
It's premier.
Now,
It's-
who handles that? Who pays
That
for
is
that?
that's handled by the Lake Chelan Nordic Ski Club, and it's Forest Service property. But the Nordic Ski Club,
So they're all paying their dues
yeah,
paying members?
It's a member. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have dues and so forth.
And then you
then they charge to ski. You know, you're paying, I think, $10 a day to go up cross country
Yeah, what a
ski.
great.
Yeah.
But
great deal.
yeah,
Echo
and
Valley.
it's well attended. Echo Valley finally got the Lions Club to give us some money, and they ended up putting in their tubing hill, and that tubing hill
That's
last year
amazing.
made $65,000.
Love Tubing Hill.
But yeah, there was a ton of different events that we did that brought people to town, but we also got to a point where we got into long-term planning. We wrote the Lake Chelan Comprehensive Trails Plan, which was adopted by every agency in the area. And as a matter of fact, this trail out here is a part of what was in the comprehensive plan, and they used our trail plan to work on this and got it in. our first project out of the trails plan was the Manson Chelan Trail, which is being talked about pretty rigorously now because Chelan Douglas Transportation Council's taking it over, and
You're talking about having a bike trail between Chelan and Manson?
Yeah.
Manson, yeah.
And my whole thing on that is you build a trail from Chelan Hills into Chelan, and you build a trail from Manson out to, say, Lake Chelan Winery, and forget that middle part. I mean,
or go up and over.
In other words, go for the most population you got, because Chelan Hills wants a trail from there.
Well, you could probably cut. I mean, I'm not an expert in it, but been up all over those mountains. You could probably do a trail in the back country up and over.
Well, going up over Boyd
District. If you
District.
get the easement, yeah. That'd be kind of cool. If somebody, you'd have to be more aggressive, but it'd be. I see your point. Like just from where the density is to get to town.
Yeah.
That'd be safer too if you do that. Because I think people are. I mean, I'm not dogging people that want to jog or bicycle between Manson and Chelan, but they're damn near suicidal. I mean, because it was bad enough when it was just drinkers. Now you got texting. I mean, that's narrow. I mean,
and the bike riders, they want to ride two side by side.
And I've always said, like, I get it. You got the right of way, but you're going to lose a contest with a truck.
Yeah.
I don't care who's right. The truck's going to win.
Yeah.
And
it took us
I just
3.5
feel bad
years.
for them.
It took us 3.5 years to write that trails plan. We met every Thursday morning for 2 hours for 3.5 years to write it.
And what trail is it that you're talking about that's here?
The one that was just built.
The one that's just
When
put
it
in?
was built, yeah,
Okay.
that's a part of
That's what I thought you were
that's a part of
talking
our
about.
trails plan.
I've heard a lot of people
Putting in a
commenting
cross-country
about
ski
that.
area was a part of our whole economic plan,
Yeah.
and then Echo Ridge came in. And that was all because of
Bob?
Wally Peterson came to us and the Forest Service and said, hey, we got a problem. We got a bunch of cross-country skiers on our snowmobile trails, and it's becoming an issue. They're getting mad at us because we're on our own trails. We need to build a cross-country ski area. So Murphy, Wally, myself, a trails guy at Ken Dull, and some other people hiked all the old logging trails up at Echo Ridge, all the old skid roads and stuff. And by the time we got done, after a 4-hour hike around the Echo Ridge area, Al Murphy says, I don't see why we can't do this. Let's do it. And
that's an incredible system.
They got a grant. We end up with one of the premier cross-country areas.
And you had Bob Knaus.
Yeah.
He get up there a lot, Bob, doing a lot of volunteer work up, excavation and.
So there was just a lot of events. Did you bring the whole list that I?
Yeah, we got.
What else did we do? Mountain
What have you
bike.
not done?
The golf tournaments.
Yeah.
John got the golf tournament going. I don't know how many years you ran that, but that was a great.
Is that at Bear Mountain?
That was a fun. No, that was Bear Mountain wasn't even thought of.
Oh.
Bear Mountain burnt down in 1994 at the Taiyu Fire. But John got the golf tournament going. That was a fundraiser for us, and
a scramble.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years you ran that, but that was a good one. I remember a lot of people got involved in
It's
that.
like 10 years, I think. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. But I didn't have. My job was pretty easy at the hotel because I had my wife and my daughter and my son-in-law running it, and I was there in the wintertime. But in the summertime, I'd be racing hydroplanes someplace or going to do something else, and then in January, February, and March, I'd be doing shows. So I had it pretty well made.
It's funny. Remember Steve, Realtor Steve? Steve, the realtor, that was always getting the donations for the golf tournament. I'm trying to remember his last name. Passed away. God, he was good. He would get like an amazing amount of donations for that golf tournament.
Yeah.
And they had some incredible prizes in that scramble.
Yeah.
Yeah, that bachelor auction that we started.
The what?
We had bachelor auction.
Yeah.
Was,
the first year we raised $9,500.
something like that.
Auction.
It was crazy. It was one of
Really?
the craziest events we ever did, and we needed the money, and we raised a lot of money that night. But it was at Gucci's, and they literally blacked out the windows so no one could look in.
Gucci's is now the
The
landing.
women, and now the landing. The women were dressed to the nines. I mean, it was a chance for the women to get dressed up.
Yeah.
And some of the wives brought letters from their husbands that they could buy a bachelor. I mean, it was crazy. It was a crazy night.
Oh, it's cute.
All in good fun.
We lined up all the bachelors, and about I don't know how many we had, like 10 or 12.
Yeah, we had meetings and meetings and meetings over. Okay,
guys,
well, how do we?
You got to do this.
We were going to do a date with whoever bought us, it was a date thing, So we'd have meetings up at the Crockery about how do we do this and make sure that we're getting bought by somebody that we would like to have buy us, this kind of thing.
And the Crockery was a restaurant that Jim owned forever,
Crazy
right where
stuff.
North Cascades,
Yeah,
where
the Crockery.
Wheatland Bank is now.
David Dean, had it before.
Yeah, and
Now you're still rich. You still have your website up, right? You have your website
Yeah.
and that's going great. And you're still getting around to all these, all your events, and you're like a diehard.
I'm busy.
Basketball games.
Basketball starts tomorrow night. The Freighters coming to town.
How long have you been doing news in this area? We had the podcast. We talked a little bit about it, but
1988 is when I moved to the Valley, and I started sports in 1988. So
and just so people that don't know, what's your website address?
Oh, my website. Well, I'm on Facebook on a platform.
Okay.
All Things Lake Chelan.
All Things Lake Chelan.
And Lake Chelan Sports and Recreation for sports and recreation type things.
Let me ask you this: what's the biggest challenge about being an administrator or monitor of All Things Lake Chelan?
No, there's no real challenge to it. It's just a matter of posting content.
And you have a lot of people comment after you post.
Well, I do. It depends on the issue.
Yeah.
I.e., the golf course came up here recently, and I've got comments.
Do you ever?
And I went from like 90,000 views in a 28-day period to 175 this morning. 175,000.
Wow.
But what started was in June of last year, I posted a video clip of all 120 paragliders up in the sky, and we had 22 different countries here. And that's one thing the hang gliding, the Women's World Hang Gliding did. It opened up Chelan to the world.
Yep.
And so I posted this video, and somebody in the international crowd sent it out. And all of a sudden, I went from 40,000 views in a month to 950,000 views, like almost overnight. Mm-hmm. And it just continued with Lake Chelan, Lake Chelan Surf.
Yeah.
And a stupid little clip I did of the kids jumping off the bridge, which we've all done. And it just perpetuated itself. And, then after it slows down the end of the year, things start slowing down, the numbers start dropping. But I'm hovering right around 100,000 to 200,000 a month.
The social media in general has become a platform for good. And it's also become a platform for a lot of interesting comments, which are fine. Yeah. It's you're free to do. It's America. I follow that, And what I find interesting about it is that I think sometimes we're that clickbait concept or that keyboard warrior that's not getting the right information, And so sometimes you get this perpetual back and forth that kind of fuels itself on either side of a coin. Yeah. And maybe the whole foundation of it is wrong. The information's just not being told to the people. And so I see where like some groups are using it to their advantage, and they're really just preying on the naivete of people. Not that they're not smart people; they just don't have the information. Right. And often these are complicated subjects, you know. And
they get fed a line. They get fed a line, and they take the line.
Yeah. So I guess you do what you got. It is what it is, right? Yeah. But there's probably more to the story.
I do monitor comments, but I don't get many negative comments at all. Most of it's all good, and.
Sometimes I see people duking it out on these platforms.
Well, it's kind of like Dennis Rahm and I say, people read the headline but never read the article. Yeah. So they're always asking questions that were already answered in the article. Yeah. And I'll go back at them and say, read the article. Yeah. Just read the article.
Well, I thought this comedian had a great point when we went through COVID, right? And everybody was an expert on viruses. Because they'd read a couple headlines, and now they're virologists or whatever they call it. And then the Ukraine war started, and then somebody made a comment like, well, at least as a country, we're no longer virus experts. We're now war correspondents, and at least we moved on to another profession because everybody's an expert in the war.
More war correspondents have been killed this year than ever.
Yeah.
More than even in World War II and the Vietnam War.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Over 500 journalists have been killed around the world this year. Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Why so much more?
And they're being targeted.
Well, my work
they didn't used to be targeted.
But I was talking about are like guys like me saying I know anything about it. I don't mean the real work correspondents. Yeah. But it's sad. Yeah, it's sad. Yeah. But it's great too because the social media is a great tool. I mean, we use it and it helps. It's easy to get people out. But I always just encourage people gosh, if you really want to know something, maybe go to the source.
Yeah.
And maybe,
especially in
and
like
I get
a
questions all
town
the
where
time.
you can.
People will get a hold of me all the time about my posts. What about this? Okay, now and that's, to your question, that's the main issue. If you want good content, you've got to answer those questions. You can't just ignore them. If somebody asks you a question, answer it.
Yeah.
Whether they like the answer or not is a whole new thing, you know. But the
Well,
golf course story that I put up here the other day, last week or whatever, just garnered all kinds of comments about what they should do and so forth.
you guys have been through it too. I've seen it where you turn something over to any, third party marketing company, third party management company, it just seems like it costs a fortune.
And it's not cost effective.
And it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, there's talented people right here, and you just have to communicate and get down to the brass tacks of getting through the red tape, which is, I get it, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
I'm not a politician, so my hypocrisy has to be pretty, I got to lower it a little bit, because I can't bitch too much. I'm not going to run for office. So it's crazy. I mean, in real estate, a Class A water system, which we're doing one, 5 years ago, maybe cost $100,000 and took a year to get a permit. I don't know what the $100,000 was spent for. Maybe a third of that was engineering, hydrology. The rest was just blue sky. It's just administrative. Now, 5 years later, nothing has changed. But now the estimates are $250,000 and 2 to 2.5 years. So we doubled the amount of time, and we doubled the amount of money it costs to get a permit. Now that's a good example to me of, like you said earlier, you go in and get 5 permits from a city. What I think that the biggest challenge that people don't understand in general, and why would they if they're not in the real estate game, all they know is shit's expensive. Houses are expensive. But I keep thinking it's very important to share that it's not really the acquisition costs, it's not really the development costs that really drive the problem.
It's all the permit fees and all the stuff.
And the lack of predictability.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
in government entities.
I've come up with a number, and basically it's $50,000 that you just flush down the toilet and pay the city and the PUD and the Parks, not Parks Department, but the Public Works Department and all the other stuff. Before you can even get started, you're paying, it's going to cost you $50,000.
Well, and if you go back before that to get the land use done to where you have a lot to build on.
Yeah.
When you have this 2, 3, 4 years to get a subdivision approved, and you have all these hurdles that won't be told to you up front. So just try to imagine, if you're an investment company, would you do it if you spent $1 million and then you think it's going to cost you $2 million to do something, and it turns out to be 10 or 5, or it turns out to be the killer of time, where what you thought was going to take 4 years takes 8 years to get through, or you get sued by an activist group, and then that all of a sudden you got to defend yourself, and it's all BS, and that's $1 million, and that took you another 5 years. So that's where a lot of these activists are funny, because their goal, they know they're wrong. They're just throwing it's like the cog in the wheel. They're just throwing the wrench into the program strictly to hope that it takes too long to get something done. And the problem with that, ultimately, when you bring it all the way back, you have less land for people to build. So you have less investors, you have less of, when you get to the building side, there's just less of that, because investors are going to go like, I'm going to Idaho, or I'm going over here where I can predict what my risk return is literally quantifiable. I think since I've been in real estate, it's very difficult to quantify anything when the government's involved. The
government is always involved.
They're always involved.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest issue. So when people are complaining about, like, why do people only build $1 million houses? Well, if it costs you $500,000 to get to a lot, I mean, what are you going to do? But so there is more to the story than the activists that you mentioned earlier, for example, want to talk about. There's so much more behind the scenes that I hope someday, and it will, with our group, we'll be able to explain it eventually. But you can't really say certain things out loud, because you don't know what the governmental entities are going to do next. So if you say this and then they throw you a curveball, then you got to do this. Now you're a jerk because you lied to somebody, because you have to do a takeaway. So it's this pinball game, which is sad, I think. And the people are the ones that suffer.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If you never build another house, the houses that are here are pretty damn expensive. And they're going to get more expensive.
And no one in the 30 to 40 range can buy one.
I mean,
they can't put the money together to do it unless they've got somebody to help them.
Yeah.
So you know, that's the apartments they're building out by Walmart now. So are they paying the sewer and water hookup fee of $28,000?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't know how you could possibly build affordable housing if you got to pay that much. But
and the word affordable housing is kind of a misnomer. I like to tell people, look, I use either workforce housing or essential worker housing because the word affordable gets caught up with Chelan Housing Trust or Habitat for Humanity, which are all great programs.
Or HUD or something.
So we like to talk about 60% of median income to about 140% of median income. Mm-hmm. That missing middle is the ones that make too much to get government assistance and can't compete on the open market with the exec making $250 from home. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the nurses, cops, teachers, hospitality. Average, normal, people. Right. They're the ones that suffer the most, and they're the ones that are leaving, and those are the ones you need to run a town.
Absolutely.
So when you have a school, for not picking on the school, but for example, if you might have a great candidate that applies, and then they find out how much it costs to live here, you don't get to hire that person.
Yeah.
You often get to hire the person that has, to your point, a connection to a home. So that's why bureaucracy, to me, is just the key, and I have no idea how to fix it.
Well, I've got a story for you.
Once it's there,
I went
get rid of it.
to Cafe Myth one day in the afternoon up at Benson.
Yeah.
And there was this gal in blue scrubs.
Yeah.
And she was ordering pizza, and I said, "Oh, you a nurse at the hospital?" And she says, "No, I'm a doctor." I said, "Really?" She says, "Yeah, this is my main food source. I can't afford to live here, so I'm living in a bedroom in a house. I have no bathroom facilities really." And she was a resident. She was here for a year.
Wow.
Couldn't find a place to rent and couldn't afford a place to rent. And she's a dang doctor,
Yeah. And that's where when people see land being changed into lots, it's important to remember, like, it sounds great to have a 5-acre parcel or a 10-acre parcel, but you know how much money it costs to put pipe over a 5-acre parcel to a bunch of 5-acre parcels? That adds to the cost. So if you can downsize in a certain, and I'm not saying everywhere, and I'm not saying urban sprawl, I'm just saying two things. If you never build another house, the houses you have here are going to continue to get more expensive than they are today. Because supply and demand, Econ 101, is very important to understand.
Yeah.
Then if you can't downsize to smaller lots, which is one really good way to get infrastructure costs down. If nobody ever wants to see that happen again, then we're back to the first problem. Because if there's no predictability and there's no opportunity, then all you're going to have is the homes that are here. And guess what? My dad used to tell me a lot when I was getting feisty in a bar. He goes, "Russ, one of these days you're going to get the crap kicked out of you because somebody's going to be tougher than you are. And they're faster and bigger and stronger, and they're also going to be richer." So there's always somebody richer. There's always somebody faster, stronger, and smarter. Okay, so if you always know that there's more money coming because we've been discovered now.
Oh yeah,
that's the reality.
What's happening here in the valley is going to get really interesting with the Holiday Hills thing.
What's that?
That's well, they put in a proposal to build a new corridor road off Lower Butte into Chelan at the intersection down here at Peterson and Wooden with a roundabout. And boy, I'll tell you what, that shot my numbers up. Boy, people were complaining about that one.
Well, when you think about it, there's a good example. Like, on one hand, you get it, right? You don't want growth, you don't want change. On the other hand, if you look to the zoning code and you look, where the Growth Management Act is about predicting the future. You have to figure out in the next 20, 25 years where we're putting people. Or you're going to end up with the homes that are here going to be very, very expensive, right? So if you don't want something to be built, that bothers you. Okay, well, where do you want it to be built? Because the zoning code is the map that tells investors where to build. That's the guideline. And if you say, well, I want them to be over there, okay, well, that's zone 10-acre minimums. Very difficult to do that. It's the whole idea of understanding the Growth Management Act, which is really managing growth. If you want no growth, then don't complain about prices. No. I mean, it's very simple. And that's the irony, right? The people that I see complain the most are either people that don't understand it, and why would they be educated on something they've never been experienced with? They just don't like change, and I get it, right? Or you have the people that, many of which I've sold to sometimes, they come here and they're like, hey, well, I like it here. I got my home, I got my pool, why would I want another house built?
Yeah.
And those are the people, if you actually look at the people running these groups, they all got houses. They all got, nice houses.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah. And how's that work out? Yeah.
So sometimes there's more going on than, and I think it's hard when, to your earlier point, when you said you read a title and then instantly you make a decision without reading the article.
Yeah.
The inside, yeah. But it's like out at the airport. If we did a water line out at the airport, you got a whole bunch of property out there that could be developed into cheaper lots.
Yeah.
It'll be a game changer,
Yeah.
but the airport's not going to expand until water's there.
Yeah.
The FAA has said, nope,
But
they
all
got
that land
$9 million to
Yeah.
expand that airport, but not until you get water there. So that's going on. That's actually
I know
happening.
they're working on it. Yeah.
I
So
mean, and the reality is the zoning code has come before us, right? It's there. It tells you what you can build where.
Right.
And either you believe in it or you don't. And if you don't, then maybe, we should probably be fighting to get a different one or fighting to get
Code change.
code changed, like that's where, because if you start shifting that's what I was talking about earlier, the lack of predictability. If you can't even trust what the zoning code says, which is the code of the city, for example, how do you expect anybody to want to invest in your town?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Would you invest if somebody just said, I'm going to change the rules every other day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's like I get it. If you don't want people to build there, where do you want them to build? Tell me where.
Well, you're probably up on this, but there was a whole contingent of people at City Council last time about the 2008 code on water sewer, and you have to hook up to the city if you're going to develop, period.
Yeah, and there's like a lot of sides to that. Like one of them is that'd be great if the city had the ability, if you had the ability to hook up to the water. But if you have no ability because it's not there, then what do you do?
Well,
Chelan Hills is full of septic tanks. How come?
I'm building my house right behind the Apple Cup, and I'm just outside the city limits, but I'm in the urban growth boundary area. But the sewer line's like 800 feet away. Well, they said, put a septic tank in. So that's what I'm putting a septic tank in.
Yeah, that's the funny thing when they were talking about that. Like,
And yet you have groups out there that say, oh, septics are bad, you're going to pollute the lake, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. It's crazy.
So ridiculous. I'm building that house, a 4-bedroom house, and each bedroom now has to have 75 feet of drain field.
yeah, I mean, the reality is
Crazy. 75 feet of drain field for each bedroom.
Yeah.
So that's 4 times
I think
75.
that's
Yeah.
been,
Yeah, because that's
300 feet.
been normal.
I think that was like a recent-ish
Yes.
thing over the last few years.
Yeah.
So then it makes it to where you can't put a septic system on a super small lot.
Exactly.
Because you don't have the. Yeah.
It's where I just keep seeing is if you took one issue in land use and that one supply constraint, that's all you had to deal with, it makes sense. But what happens is it's that death through 1,000 cuts everywhere.
And they
you
keep changing, keep adding. And
Yeah, and then it's like, why are these homes so expensive? Well, I was talking to a builder the other day, and he said, I'm trying to maybe build a home for myself, for us, and I own the lot. I can't build for less than $300 a square foot. And that's me building it. And I'm like, that's like, so he goes, yeah, that's like $400 a square foot these days. And I go, that's like $800,000 vertical cost for a 2,000 square foot Rambler.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, And then you add all the land acquisition and hookup fees, and that's if you got a lot. I mean, unfortunately, then you have a supply problem, you have a topography problem, you have an infrastructure problem, you have a zoning problem. I mean, there's so many supply constraints by the time you really cut this pie down, and then when you add that 88% of the land in the Chelan County is owned by the government.
Yep.
You start with 12% of privately held lands to begin with. So it's really, when you really get deep into the into the weeds with this stuff, it kind of gets you're like, oh, I wonder why it's so expensive. Well, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to fix it. I just know that it's a challenge, and I know
it
that
just keeps getting worse.
and I know that the more people that live here and enjoy it, the more people probably don't want it to change. I mean, my dad was a perfect example. Those farmers, they get the hell out of here at the end of the summer. I want my town back, right? But you know where they stood.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of like, if we want to accept people here, and I mean, I just kind of wish people knew that if you are anti-everything in general, you're anti-everything when it comes to growth, then never complain about expenses. And sadly, a lot of people that are anti-everything have enough money to not have to worry about it.
Right.
It's the people that are the kids growing up here. It's the people that want to come back here and work, or that's the problem that I have with those that mindset.
You notice the kids that come back have a place to go.
That's the only way you can.
Chris and Kamisha Eubanks, Chelan Concrete.
And good for them.
Stacy Byquist had a dad who bought a couple of watercraft, and he's built a great business. Campbell's, the boys come back. They've got a job.
I can tell you, a lot of people thought they had that, and this Apple business has gone down so fast, so aggressively. A lot of those families that have worked their life to create that opportunity, it's going away too. And then there's more people that can't have that they thought they had. You know, a year ago or 2 years ago or 5, 10 years ago, they thought they worked their whole life so their kids could come back, and now they can't. Now they got to sell. And that's one of the things I'm always going to tell people on our podcast when I can, and that is, when you see somebody sell an orchard, try to have some empathy, because most likely they're not doing it by choice.
Well, I heard Brownfield selling their orchard.
And they might be one that's doing it by choice, but there's a crippling set of economic forces that have happened against the apple industry over a long period of time. And I just know for a fact that it's going to be difficult for many, many families. And I know when you already are in a tough situation and you have to sell something, somebody bitches at you like you sell out. No, maybe they have no choice, or maybe they paid for the opportunity to do what they want because it's theirs. It's privately held land. It's their land. So, obviously I'm a private property rights guy, and I don't mind anybody bitching about anything. It's America. I just would hope that the people that are real passionate about complaining would be open-minded to listen to the rest of the information as well.
Most of them.
I'm off my soapbox now, guys. Sorry.
I like your comment about taking one issue at a time and working through it. That's what we did at the Rec Association. We would take on one event, and we delegate the various aspects of that event to different people. I'd do media, Dave Grillbill would do marketing, John would do this, but they're all delegated out, and it was delegated to you, better do it, But it worked, and we'd get that issue done, we'd get the event going, and then we'd go on to the next one. Or somebody would come to it and say, well, we want you to do this event. And it worked really well. But I got an idea. Let's start the Rec Association over again, John. We'll get Russ on board as the president. And
Nicole.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We'll be advisors.
We'll be advisors.
Free advisors, right?
Free advisors.
Plenty on you. You got all the
I
money.
advise for cocktails. I work for cocktails.
What else you guys want to talk about?
Oh gosh.
I like that last comment. You should get that going again. You
guys. No, not us. Not us. We could be, like John said, we could be advisors to whoever would want to do it.
I have no problem doing that.
There'd have to be a group of
enthusiastic
people to do it.
Well, and just the community. If you have a really good idea, like you were talking about earlier, somebody was like, "Oh, I want to do a motorcycle event."
Right.
It's like somebody that's just passionate about something that wants to bring it to the community. They need to just know who
they need to have a group to do it to.
Who to raise their voice to.
How to get it through the city.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a lot of enthusiasm, and I've been doing this a long time.
You have, John.
And I just ran out of gas. I mean, it's
you eventually get burnt out.
But,
and when people leave town for other reasons and everything, you don't have that
the
group together that you rely on. You do get burned out really quick.
But I still have my hydroplane guys, so that's the good thing. So
but
I got of course Stacy, but Julie Porter, would help me for years and years.
Yeah.
But she kind of got burnt out, but I've got some new people now that are coming in, and
you got grandkids. People have grandkids now. You got to play with those grandkids.
Well, it's like the Slam and Jam when Mike Herling left, because he ran it after the Rec, so he ran it for years, and he ended up selling it to Abby and her husband.
Nice.
So they've got. And I said, well, when are you going to do it? And he said, well,
That happens.
It's not an easy event to put on. And I think they've sold off most of the standards.
Yeah.
Well, and it is.
I mean, Manson's got a bunch of the standards, and
It is to your point, though. Like the red tape is so much
It's so
more than
difficult.
it's exhausting. Where
Oh,
when you guys were doing it really successfully, you just get things done.
Yeah, it was.
And now you get roadblocks. So
Yeah.
you have to have somebody that understands and has the patience and foresight to plan years in ahead. Rich, here's what you should do. You should go make a challenge to somebody to head up a new rec association, and you and the other original gangster will be advisors of the committee, and just challenge somebody to step up and start working.
some of these new people.
And then when you do that, we'll have another podcast. We'll get you guys back on. We'll lay out all the rec association stuff, monopolize the whole thing, and then show the newcomer, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Boy, I've got all the paperwork. I got boxes of crap.
Before it's too late, yeah. And then I'm happy to always talk to you guys anytime you want.
Well, you're the
whenever
new
you want.
president. You're young enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are young
I'm
enough.
security.
Yeah.
No, it'd be fun. You'd be excellent.
All right, well, signing off on that note.
Thank you, guys.
Small Towns Unscripted. Thanks, guys.